At the time, it was called virtual hold technology, right? How did you get the opportunity to go work there in the first place?
Oh, that's a great question. So when I was in college, I moved out into an apartment for the first time. Living on your own and paying your own bills, it's a lot more expensive than you ever think. You're in college, you do stupid things, you don't plan for the future very well. I ended up in a situation where I needed a job so I could start paying the bills. I needed a job I could bike to because I didn't have money for gas. That's how terrible the situation is. My sister's roommate's father actually worked at a company at a call center, and they needed people to help. It was within a mile or two of my apartment. So I could take my bike and ride to there and back. I'll just do it for the summer and hopefully get through this hard time. I'm not a phone talker, but whatever, what, you got to pay the bills. 30 days later, for whatever reason, this guy gave me a promotion to being a supervisor. So now I found myself in my first management role, if you will, where I had other college students that are there working the floor and they're looking to me for guidance. I'm like, wow, what is happening right now? That gentleman that gave me that opportunity, he was the call center manager at the time, eventually left the company and went to VHT, Virtual Hold Technology. Within 45 days of him being there, he called me up and said, Jeremy, you've got to come and join this company. They're going to change the world. We need people like you, people who understand the call center, people who can come in here and help us with our data strategy, because that's what they hired me for. Now, a little
Got
did
it.
I know back then that the startup companies have to be very careful about who they hire, and they have very specific needs. In this particular case, they didn't have anyone that understood relational databases. More specifically, they didn't have anyone who understood how a call center and its technology stack uses relational databases to create dashboards and reports for the call center. That's what they brought me in for.
Got it.
Help us understand what data we have in our system and how it maps to the contact center so that we can have a value proposition that we can go back and demonstrate, not just talk about in a PowerPoint slide. I'm early 20s. I have no database training. I have no software engineering training, but I do have the fact that I've been working for a contact center. I was a supervisor, a project manager, an account manager for them. I eventually got to a point where I had to start producing reports to our leadership team at the contact center, as well as our customers, on how we were performing, which led me to the need to understand, okay, how do I hack into the database and run my own scripts? The reporting package that came with the contact center package wasn't flexible enough. So I walked into my interview at VHT. I met with at the time, the head of development and one of her lieutenants. They had up on a board, they had a problem that they were trying to solve. I walked up there and I said, why don't you do this? I wrote a query with an inner join with the tables that I saw up there. And the lead engineer looked at me and he goes, you got to be kidding me. And I go, no, I think that'll work. What do you know? It worked. And they hired me on the spot. They said, we got to have you come in here. So that's how I got to VHT. Another one of those opportunities where, back then I wasn't making a whole lot of money and I
Yeah.
had a family, and I negotiated a little bit higher salary than they wanted to give me because I recognized, oh, I have something that you want and that you need, and I've demonstrated it to you already. So let's just make sure that we're exchanging that value. So that's how I got to VHT.